this full-on rich teal. It's like a deep teal, almost leaning emerald. Really gorgeous, and so I just had to do it again. And I feel like this is like my color. I was supposed to be born with teal hair. But I'm sure you guys know I'm totally kidding. This is a wig. And you could probably tell that this is a wig because you guys know I have really thin hair. But for those who believed me and thought that this was my actual hair, thank you so much. But, yeah, so this video is going to be all about my makeup brushes. I'm going to show you most of my collection. I have a lot of brushes. It's kind of absurd how much brushes I have. But along with everything in my life, I love to collect. And brushes are just another thing that I like to collect. You'll notice the more you watch my videos, the more collections I have. I feel like I should have named this channel ASMR Collections. But, I mean, I like what I like, and yeah, no excuses. So, a lot of you guys have asked me about my makeup brushes, and what are my favorite brushes, and, you know, what types of brushes are for what use, and things like that. So we're gonna go over, I guess, the basics of makeup brushes. But before that, I wanted to share this wig with you guys. And no, this is not a sponsored video, but yes, I was sent this luscious wig. I actually have another wig that I'm going to be sharing in another video as well, so what can I say? I love wigs. They just make me happy, and you know, they like instantly change your mood and your look, and yeah. So this wig is from DonaLoveHair. Love is all. I love this box. It reminds me of a Tiffany box. It's this beautiful, like, mint green. And I love this bow. And then on the other side, we have this heart. It looks like this heart is made out of white lace. It's very shabby chic. And it says enjoy, and I really can appreciate packaging. I really can, and I feel like when a company outdoes themselves with the packaging as well, that's just, you know, more points for them and more of an incentive for me to buy from them, because, you know, they take pride in their products. So in this box, we have this little sachet, this little like satin bag. it's really nice to have a dust bag as well. And then I also received one of these. And these are weaving caps. So it is an invisible nylon hairnet with elastic. And it's one size fits most. I've tried this exact weave cap or wig cap, and it fits great. I don't wear weave caps when my wig is ombre like this, so you can see that it has dark roots, and I like to have my actual hair sticking out, so I don't really wear the weave cap, but it does help a lot. And I do use these with like my other colored wigs that don't have that like ombre faded kind of look that match my roots. So if this didn't match my roots, I would be wearing this just because I would be pulling back all of my hair. But these come in handy. And this is just a nude color. And then I also received this brush. And it says DonaLoveHair right on there. DonaLoveHair. I love when companies also take the time to put like their name, their logo on their products, you know. So I love this brush. It's just like a tangle teaser. And I received, you know, brushes in the past from wig companies, and some of them just only really work on wigs, but I like when the brush that comes with the wig actually works with your natural hair as well. So you can use this on your wig, you can use this on your natural hair, dry or wet. So, love the brush, and I've been using it non-stop. And then, the piece of the resistance, the main thing is this wig. So this wig is the black to green short bob lace front wig. So this is a lace front wig, so when I received this wig, it had a big chunk of lace all throughout the front area of the wig. And it's pretty much like nylon material, and you cut it as much as you possibly can where it looks as natural on your head. And I love lace front wigs because they are super, super natural. And I wanted this wig because, yes, I love this color, and it's very Kylie Jenner-esque. I think she had this look maybe like a year or 2 years ago, but it still feels like yesterday. But I love the style, I love the length. I actually prefer shorter wigs than longer wigs. I just think that longer wigs are a little more of a hassle. They're not as manageable. They're still really, really fun, but I don't know. I love shorter hair in general. So I just think that it just suits me better, I guess. And it doesn't weigh my head down. Like, it's still very lightweight. It's very good length. I love the cut. So it's like a little short in the back, not too texturized and a little more piecier, I guess. And like I said, I bring out some of my own natural hair and just kind of mixed it in there. And I love it. I love everything about it. It's actually a pretty easy wig to, to style. Probably one of the easiest. And it was super easy to straighten. I didn't want it pin straight because I still wanted it to look a bit more, like tousled. So with this wig, there is 3 clips or 3 little hair combs that help secure your wig to your hair or to your wig cap. And so there's 1 on the top and 2 on the sides, and then there's also a band that also helps to secure your wig to your head at the back of your wig. And I also like to secure my wigs with bobby pins, and I have 4 bobby pins in my hair right now to help it from moving around, but it's all the bobby pins that I had. I probably would have added a bit more, just because I do find with like most wigs, not just this one in particular, that they're a bit large for my head. So bobby pins, they help a lot. So also for this particular area here, adding like a brown powder, for instance, like your brow powder, adding some of that to the exposed scalp helps to make it look more natural. I did do that earlier, but I've been playing around with my hair, so it needs more brow powder, but yeah, that definitely helps to make it look much more natural. It's not scratchy. Of course, I will have all of the information down below. But yeah, I was feeling it, so I decided to kind of a Kylie Jenner makeup look with the wig. I don't know, but yeah, I've been having fun with this one. So if you guys are interested in this wig or interested to try out a wig, I will leave a link to DonaLoveHair down below. So, DonaLoveHair. So they were really kind enough to let me try out one of their wigs, and I've been on this huge wig kick, so I definitely was excited to try out a new wig. So let me know what you think. And yeah, so now let's move on to the makeup brushes. Okay, so now we can begin talking about makeup brushes. I know this video is past 15 minutes long, and I have yet to talk about brushes. So let's begin. I do have the brushes bunched up in categories, I guess, but I'm not doing this in any particular order, so I'll pick up some base brushes, and then I'll pick up some eye brushes. So the first little set of brushes are my bronzer brushes, and again, these aren't all of them, but these are my most used. So, bronzer brushes, yes, okay. I'll start out with my most used bronzer brush. It is this one here. And I did clean most of my brushes for you guys, so I hope you can appreciate that, because I feel like with the amount of brushes I have, it's pretty much like a part-time job cleaning all of my brushes. Okay, so this one is from Zoeva. And this is the 101 Luxe Face Definer. And I call this particular shape of brush a tulip brush. As you can see, it does have the shape of a tulip. It's rounded, but it does come to a slight point. Not as pointy as another brush that I have. That's also a tulip brush. So, that is my Zoeva brush, and I just love the size of it. I love the bristles. Most of my brushes are cruelty-free, of course, no animal hair, but I cannot say definitively if this is no animal hair. But I know Zoeva as a brand is cruelty-free, so I don't know. But yes, so we have this one, beautiful white hair, and it is just gorgeous. I feel like this brush picks up the right amount of bronzer, not too much, not too little, and it's the perfect size, and I can get to all the areas that I need. So the 3 and the E down the chin area. I like to bronze my nose. I bronze everything. But yeah, so there's that. That's my favorite bronzer brush, and then we can talk about some other ones. Okay, so this is another tulip brush, but as you can see, it's much pointier. And this is one that I don't particularly like all too much. I do use it though whenever my Zoeva one is dirty, because it does provide that same shape, and sometimes I can get away with using this as my contouring brush. So contouring brushes and bronzing brushes are much more different. A bronzer brush is going to be a little more of a fluffier brush, because it's leaving a bronze glow but very diffused, because you don't want your bronzer to be super heavy. With the contour, it's a little more heavy, you know. You're adding depth to the areas that you want to add depth to, and this is just adding warmth, if that makes sense. So it's just pretty much like a powder brush, but to add a warm powder to your face. So, but this one I can get away with using this as both a bronzer and a contouring brush, but it's not the best, but it still does the job if like my other ones are dirty. And I didn't even tell you what this was. This is the Sedona FB03. FB stands for a face brush. I love the color of these Sedona brushes, because they're, you know, pink and black, and they're ombre, they're, you know that it's definitely from Sedona just from the color alone, and the quality is really good, and you know, they don't use any animal hair. It's all synthetic bristles, so I can really appreciate the company. But some of their brushes, for me personally, are kind of hit and miss, but it's okay. If I didn't have the Zoeva one, then I probably would have liked that brush a little bit more. But I also have this one here, and this is from Real Techniques, and it's the blush brush. But I pretty much just use this for bronzer. As you can see, it is very similar to the Zoeva one, but it's a little more rounded, and Real Techniques is very, very affordable. Synthetic bristles, very, very soft, high quality for the price, and so I definitely recommend Real Techniques all the way. If you're looking for good brushes that are affordable and easy to find, you don't have to buy them online, great. bronzer. And yeah, it's one of my favorites. So I would say these three are my favorite bronzing brushes. Again, very similar to the Suiva one. Same kind of point at the top. And yeah, I love everything about it. Super soft bristles. Teddy bear bristles. And cutest packaging ever. So I love that. And then this is from SHANY, and this is the medium powder brush F14. SHANY is a really good company, and I will leave in the description box a brush set that I highly recommend from SHANY, and it comes with, I think, over 20 brushes, I want to say, and they're all really good. But this brush I do use for bronzing, but it's not my favorite. But you know, again, it's one of the brushes that I pick up if my other ones are dirty. But I can get away with using this as a powder brush as well, using it for setting powder, but mostly I just use this for bronzer. Super fluffy. And down to the last two bronzing brushes that I want to talk about. This is the Sephora Professional Brush. It's the airbrush number 55, and they changed the packaging, but this brush is still available, just not in this packaging, like a silver handle. But it's still one of my favorites because honestly I use this brush for a lot of reasons. I put this in the bunch with my bronzers, but I do use this for foundation. I've used this for blush. These bristles are very, very dense, which makes it very useful for both liquids and for powders because it's dense, but it's also fluffy. So yeah, it's just one of those really great universal brushes that I love ever so much. So I had to mention that. These Sephora brushes are really good. And then there's this one also from Real Techniques, and this is their buffing brush. And I also use this for bronzing if I don't want too much bronzer, because it is a much smaller brush, but I can definitely get away with using this for foundation as well, or for like cream blushes. But because I use this mainly for bronzing, I just stuck it with all my bronzing brushes. But yeah, I bronze a lot, and bronzing brushes along with foundation brushes, they get dirty really quick, and since I have bronzers that are shimmery and bronzers that are matte, I like to use some brushes with my matte bronzers and some brushes with my shimmery bronzers. I don't like to mix the two because sometimes I don't want shimmer bronzer on my face. So I guess since we were talking about bronzing brushes, I guess we'll talk about our contour brushes next, just so you can see the difference. So I guess it does depend on what kind of contour you want. You know, sometimes you want a really like striking, sharp contour, and sometimes you want a more diffuse contour. So for a very strong contour, very like sharp and precise, something like this is where you want to go. And I have this one here. This is called the Full Cover Brush, and this is from Mimi Box. I don't know if you can tell, but the bristles are brown, but the top is like a dark navy. It's actually really cool looking, but here, yeah, I'll probably tell. But I used to be a Mimi Box ambassador for my other channel. I haven't filmed a video on that channel in ages, so I'm no longer a Mimi Box ambassador. But they used to send me things all the time, and they used to send me their brushes, and I have to say, their brushes are amazing. Very, very soft. This one is a bit longer than this one. This is the Zoeva Luxe Face Paint Brush. And they both work really, really well. This one is a bit longer. I can just kind of stamp my product on, and I get the contour that I want. And of course, I blend it slightly with a much fluffier brush. But with this one, it's much shorter, so I do have to kind of work it in a bit more. But either way, they're both really, really good, and I'm sure you guys have seen this one a lot on this channel. Yeah, it just gets the job done. And that's, again, when I want like a striking contour. And a striking contour, but not too thick. Now, if I want a thick contour, a much more chiseled kind of look, then I'll go for something like this. This is from Real Techniques, and this is a sculpting brush. I love this for my cheekbones, but I also love this for contouring my chinny chin chin. So it gets the job done. It's very dense, it's thick, it's angled, it's everything that you could possibly need to contour your face, your entire face. So really great with cream products. Then we have this one here, and this is another Real Techniques brush. It's the Expert Face Brush, and it isn't angled, and it's much shorter than the other one that I showed you, lengthwise. However, it still is just perfect for contouring. It's dense enough. It works great with powders and cream products. It packs the right amount of color, and you know, it places the color, but you can also blend in your contour as well with this. So I love that brush a lot. And then I have these two here, and these are kind of universal because I've used them for contouring, but I've also used them for highlighting. But I mainly use these for contouring. So if I want just a light, more diffuse contour, then I will use either or. So this one is the Zoeva Luxe Highlight Brush, but again, I use this for contouring, but it works great for highlight as well. I just have other highlighting brushes that I use more. But yeah, I love that. This is like a mini version of my bronzing brush. So again, it has that like tulip shape to it. So yeah, I use this for bronzer, this for contour, and it's like the perfect duo. So I love those brushes. And then this one is a Real Techniques brush, and it's Duo Fiber. It's the Duo Fiber contour brush. And yeah, this also works really great for highlighting as well. But I really, really enjoy this for contouring. Whenever I want just very natural contour, you know, sometimes I want to be defined. But types of brushes as well on my channel, and they're like much larger eyeshadow brushes. So these three are very similar to each other, and I don't really have a favorite out of these three. They all work so well. I guess this one is a bit more fluffier than these two, but again, I love them all. So this one is the SHANY E12 eyeshadow brush. This one is the Party Queen large fluff brush, and then we have the Zoeva 222 Luxe all over shader brush. So basically, I have really big lids, so I need a big eyeshadow brush. I mainly just use these large brushes to place my base color, so it would be an eyeshadow that is similar in color to my skin tone. And I will just place the eyeshadow all over my entire lid up into my brow bone with one of these brushes, because it just makes the job super quick. So I love these for that, but also because I have really big lids, I can just get away with using this for placing color just on my lid area, just for packing color in general. So I love these so much. Sometimes the regular eyeshadow brushes are just too tiny. This one right here, I also use this for adding color to my brow bone area. So that's mainly what I use this for. I do use this as an all-over eyeshadow brush, but mainly I like, because of the shape of it, it's so awesome for kind of like carving my eyebrows at the same time while I apply my brow bone color or my brow bone highlight. So there's that. And then this one here, I also use this to pack on color all over my lid, but I also use this to place powder underneath my eyes after I apply concealer, like a setting powder. And this works really good. So these are my big fluffy powder brushes, essentially, for my eyes. And this one is the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush. So you can use this for cream concealer, but I just prefer this for my powder. So there's that. And e.l.f. is super affordable. I used to just have e.l.f. Eco Tools and Real Techniques, but I just found that spending a little extra on brushes just goes a long way, because a lot of my e.l.f. brushes, they just completely detached from the ferrule, and I would have bristles all over the place, a lot of shedding, and just a lot of throwing away brushes. Like every month I would have like 5 brushes that I had to throw away because they were useless. So yeah, I don't know. It's less money, but in the long run you're buying more brushes, so I don't know if it's actually worth the money. However, if you're starting out, then it makes sense, just go for a drugstore brand. Okay, so I talked about the brush that I like to apply powder underneath my eyes. These are some brushes that I like to use underneath my eyes as well for cream concealer. And of course, I use the Beauty Blender, but sometimes I want a more precise blend. So I have this one here, and I wish I knew the exact name, but it's a tart brush from the Rainforest of the Sea collection. And I pretty much have all of the brushes from that collection because it's like my favorite makeup collection of life. But yeah, so these brushes, as you can see, are mainly domed, and they are very dense. They're very has a smaller domed brush, and I would place my concealer with this brush, and then I have this fluffier part here, this fluffier end, and it's similar but not as dense, and this would help to blend out my concealer. So I use this one a lot. Now, this one is also from the Rainforest of the Sea collection, and I also use it for concealer, but I also use this for cream color correctors. So I would place like my cream color correctors wherever. For instance, I would place a green color corrector around my nose area to dim down some of that redness, and then I would blend it out with this angled brush here. It looks like a mini angled blush brush, but it works great for blending green products. So I love that. And then I have these two from Zoeva. So this one I would use underneath my eyes, and then this one I would use for my face or to blend out the concealer. So I would place my concealer with this, blend it out with this. They're very similar. This is a baby version of this. And this one is the Zoeva Face Shape Brush, the 110. And this one is the Zoeva 142 brush, the concealer buffer. So you could also use this to contour as well, but I don't use this brush that much for that because I feel like it's too dense and it doesn't have as much give as I need for contouring. But for concealing, it works really good. So I will give it that. So that's that. Okay, what else? Highlighting. So I have a lot of highlighting brushes. These aren't all of them. So I have these fan brushes, and not everybody loves fan brushes. I, however, love fan brushes. I think that they highlight in like a second, and they're just so easy, like one and done. So I love fan brushes. But if you like a very striking highlight, then these big fan brushes might diffuse the highlight a little bit too much for your liking. But if you're going for like a very diffused kind of highlight, depending on how much highlight you pack on these things, because they do pick up a lot of product, then you may want to go for another brush. But this one is the Sedona FB01, and it's huge, as you can see. But it's just so fun to use a fan brush. I love it. And then we have from SHANY the F71 extra large fan brush for face and body, so you can highlight and bronze with a fan brush like this. So face or body, these are great. And then we have a itty bitty fan brush, and this is from Japonesque. You can purchase this in Ulta. I had to think about it. It's been a while. So since this is a much smaller highlighting brush, it's a bit more precise. It's going to go exactly where you want it to go. It's not as diffused. And these brushes are very similar to the NARS brushes. The handle is made in a similar way, and it's like artwork, really. Very good quality. very sad about it because NARS was one of my favorite brands. I have a lot of products from NARS, so I have to replace a lot of my products, which is such a bummer. I have these two. This is like a mini duo fiber brush, and it's also from Zoeva, and it's the petite stippling brush. Stippling brushes are my least favorite brushes. I cannot stand stippling brushes for foundation. They just do your face no justice. However, they do have their uses. I like stippling brushes for cream, blush, and I like stippling brushes for highlight, depending on the size. This one is much smaller, so it works great for highlighting. And this one is, again, much more precise. And yeah, I love it. I wouldn't say run out and get this brush. It's not my favorite highlighting brush, but it does do the job. This one, I would say, is my second favorite. This one is my favorite highlighting brush, and it looks crazy because it is so big. It looks more like a blush brush. However, this brush is actually meant for highlight. And again, it's from the Tarte Rainforest the Sea collection. If I can get the exact name of these, I will let you know. So this part here is actually going to give you a much thicker strip of highlight. So it's for those that are so committed to the highlight game, because you're going to have a lot of highlight on your face, and it's going to be as bright as a diamond. And then this one is also a highlighting brush, but as you can see, it's much smaller, so much more dense. So it's just for very light touch of highlight. But I don't really use this part too much. I mainly just use that part, the larger brush. If this brush still exists, I will say everyone needs this brush in their life if they love highlight. We have the pencil brushes. Pencil brushes, I don't use them as often as I used to back in the day, but I still love them nonetheless. And as you can see, they're also very dense. They're kind of pointy. Well, some are pointier than others, but they basically help carve out your eye a little bit. They create the outer V. You can also pack on color right onto the crease, like a darker color right onto the crease. And these brushes are just used to help define the eye a bit more. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of tutorials where one would use a darker eyeshadow on the outer corners of the eye, and it just helps make your look a little more sultry, bring everything together. You can also use a pencil brush to bring down the color that you would use on the outer V down below to your lash line. You could do so much with these. So you can use them on the crease, on the outer corners of your eyes. I've even used a pencil brush in the inner corner of my eyes for highlight. They don't have too much give because the bristles are pretty tightly packed. But this one is the Zoeva 230 Luxe pencil brush. And this one, I love this one because I use it as a pencil brush. However, it's dense but not too dense. It still has some give to it, so I can create that outer V and also blend at the same time to kind of diffuse the color. So I tend to use this one a bit more, and it's the 231 Luxe Petite Crease Brush. And yes, I do use this on my crease to pack on some color. some pretty good brushes, and she has like the best packaging ever, because if you buy a brush from her, it comes in a case, and the case is a coffin. Of course, it's Kat Von D. So I love that. So this is the Shaded Light eyeshadow brush, and so you get this pencil brush that's super pointy and sharp, and you could just create a very defined, sharp kind of look to your eyes. You can create a cat eye with this. It's just really great. It's very precise. And then this one is a domed shape, and it's not as dense as you would think, so you can blend a bit with this brush as well. So basically that's what I do with this brush. I use this to place the color exactly where I want it, and then I would use this to blend it out a bit. So it really works great together. And then the last pencil brush that I have to share with you is this one. It's also from SHANY, and this is the E19 contouring eyeshadow brush, and this is much longer than some of the other brushes that I have, the other pencil brushes that I have, and I can really get into my crease with this one since it's a bit longer, a bit more dense, so this is really good for packing color onto my crease, you know, adding as much depth as I want, and then I would go in with a blending brush. So these are just really great brushes when you really want to define your eye look. And then my favorite category. Can you guess? Can you guess? Blending brushes. I have so much of these. This is like half of my collection, but these are the ones that I use the most. And let me tell you, a lot of people ask me, how do you do your eyeshadow? And I always tell them, with a good blending brush. I have created entire eyeshadow looks with just blending brushes. I kid you not. They can do everything, anything, the whole 9 yards. You can get a really nice, decent eye look with just these, I promise you. And nowadays you can get blending brushes in your eyeshadow palettes, like Urban Decay has some good set of brushes in their palettes. Anastasia Beverly Hills also, Wet n Wild. Here we have the Urban Decay blending brush. They're usually, you know, double-sided, and I get use with both sides, but mainly the blending brush. But this one is from the Naked 2 palette, and you know, it comes with a good standard blending brush. It's not too fluffy, so you know, I can add depth to my crease and blend it out at the same time, because it's a smaller blending brush. And then I typically use this if I'm gonna do like a halo look, so I would just like add color to the center of my lids with this, or use it for my inner corners. So there's that. It's not my favorite brush, but I use it a lot. I have these smaller blending brushes. So again, they're used for packing on color to my crease and then blending out. But I would still go in with a much fluffier blending brush. This just kind of starts the blending process for me, if that makes sense. And this is the brushes for blending, of course, but also for my transition colors. So this is from Sonia Kashuk, and Sonia Kashuk always is changing their collections. So this was from, I don't even know, 2011 when I started my my first YouTube channel, but I still use it to this day, and it's one of my favorite blending brushes. This one is just my favorite blending brush of life, and it's the SHANY F21 blending brush. Okay, not a fancy name, but it doesn't need to be fancy because it works so good. It's just the perfect shape, perfect everything. It's not too big, it's not too small, and it just is the best blending brush. I don't know what else I can say. Blending brushes are used to diffuse your eyeshadow. As you can see, I have like a warm brown in my crease, and also, you know, up into my brow bone. Not completely up into my brow bone, but you know, it's peeking out there. It's above my crease area, and you don't want that color to be too stark, so that's why blending brushes come in handy. So I have this one from Soho. It's very similar to this one, but it's much longer, and it's another one that I absolutely love, and I just don't have a name, but it's from Soho, which you can get at Walmart. I'm still getting over my cold. So I have to like constantly clear my throat. But yeah, you can get Soho at Walmart. And then I have these brushes. So this one is the Party Queen Deep Red Blending Brush. It's a little shorter. I would say the shorter the bristles, the more color impact you're gonna get. With longer bristles, the less color impact that you're gonna get. The closer your hands are to your blending, the more heavy-handed you will be, and the more heavy-handed your blending will be. But the farther you put your hands on the handle, the more diffused your blending will be, if that makes sense. So we have that, and then we have the Luxe Soft Crease Brush from Zoeva. It's a 221. Again, much shorter. And we have this one. It's the 228 Luxe Crease Brush, and it's a little longer, a little more spread out. The bristles are more of like a tulip shape, I guess. And then we have this one, which the bristles are definitely much more dense. So I don't use this one a lot just because it's not the best for blending. But it's the Sedona EB13. So, I love the blending brushes. These would have to be like my second favorite type of brushes. And I would say that the MAC 217 definitely made these brushes so popular. Or this, you know, type of brush. So basically, this is like an eyeshadow brush, but since it still is fluffy, and as you can see, it's flat, so it's not quite like a blending brush, but it's fluffy like a blending brush. So you can pack color onto your lid with these types of brushes, but you can also blend it up into your crease. So that's why these brushes are super universal. You can do so much with these brushes. So this is the Party Queen blending brush. So this is a rather large one, so I can pack a lot of color onto my entire lid, and then I could just turn it over and blend onto my crease. So then we have the 227 Luxe Soft Definer. Same thing. It's fluffy, it's flat. This one is much smaller. does the same job. But I do prefer my Party Queen. It's my favorite. But yeah, so Eva is really great as well, though. And then we have the Sedona Lace EP09. I do use this brush a lot. This is a Sedona Lace brush that I do highly recommend. Oh, did you see all that powder? Yeah, it's great for packing color on the lids, and great for blending, as is all of these. Drugstore option would be the Real Techniques base shadow brush. Very similar, same kind of shape. This one is a bit more rounded, a bit more like oval shaped, but still great. And then I have this one from Wet n Wild. It's kind of wonky looking, but it's great. It doesn't have like a name or anything, but it's their new white Wet n Wild brushes with like the pink tip. And you can also get these at the dollar store, like Dollar Tree has these. And then I have these. I've had these for ages, but they're the OG Sigma brushes, and they actually say SS217, but they have since changed the number because they didn't want to copy MAC. Yeah, these are excellent, and they're shorter handled. These used to be like a freebie with your Sigma purchase, so score, because they're like my faves. So I love these. Okay. Then we have eyebrow brushes. So you've seen this one before, but this is from Royal and Land Nickel, so you can find this at Michael's. And it's just an angled brush. It has some pretty long bristles, which I do like. And the bristles are stiff, but not too stiff. And yeah, I just love everything. I love that the brush is really, really long. For some reason, it helps when applying my eyebrows. I don't know why, but it does. I like this, like, plasticky handle, you know, where it's just so cushiony for my fingers. Yeah, and I don't know, I'm not too partial. Like, I don't really have a diehard favorite, besides this one, I guess. But this one is the E25, the slanted eyeliner brush. I don't really use this, to be honest. This one is the Sedona Lace EB23. This one is kind of small, like width-wise. I like it to be a little more wider, but I still use this if my other one is, you know, really dirty. And then this one really doesn't have any name, but I did get this at the drugstore, and it came in a kit. But I use this one a lot as well, because it's like the perfect width. And yeah. And then this is a Wet n Wild brush, and like I said, Wet n Wild just makes some good brushes nowadays. It's angled, it's kind of small, but it still does the job. So I use these for my powder after I use my Anastasia brows. So I have some basic eyeshadow brushes. However, some of these are really small for my eyelids. So, for instance, 3 are really small for my eyelids. Can you see that? Like, really tiny. I mean, this one's slightly bigger, but I mainly use these brushes if I'm going for a halo look. I use this one a lot though. And this is the Party Queen Short Shader. This one is also really great for cream products, not just for powder products. And then this one, mainly for my inner corners, is the Sedona EB21. And then I have these two. This is the Sedona EB11. This one's not quite my favorite just because it's so long. But I mean, it still works since my lids are so big. So I use that just for packing color all over the lid. Really good for cream products as well. And then the E18 cream eyeshadow brush. I mainly just use this for powder. I haven't actually ever used this for cream products, ironically. But yeah, this one's probably my favorite for packing color onto my eyes. Concealer brushes. Okay, so I have this one here from Japonesque, and it's like a pencil brush, but I mainly just use this for concealing, especially around my nose area. This comes in handy. So a brush like that is perfect for concealing those tiny areas or spot concealing. But I also have flat ones that I love as well. These are actually really great for concealing. This one is the Party Queen concealer brush, but sometimes I like to create that upside down triangle underneath my eyes if I really want to go in with concealer, and so I like using a brush like these. And since they are pointed, I can get in between my nose as well. So in between my crevices on my nose, this is the pointed foundation brush, but I would never use this as a foundation brush. It's too tiny. They're crazy. So from Real Techniques. And then this one is from Party Queen as well. It's a large concealer brush. Conceal, conceal, conceal. Now, these are more of a domed shape. Again, you know, for concealing underneath the eyes and for blending concealer as well. These are perfect. So this is the taper foundation brush from Sephora Professional. Really great. And then this one is just a Japonesque one. So Japonesque has some really neat designs. And then I just have a lot of these. I use these for concealing as well, but I also use these for like eyeshadow primers or cream eyeshadows, any sort of cream products. So this one is the F70 concealer brush from SHANY. This one is just a Wet n Wild concealer brush. This one is the E11 eyeshadow brush from SHANY. I love the ferrule because it's like holographic. I don't know if you can see that. So cool. And then we have the cream shader brush. It's the 233 cream shader from So. Then there are these brushes, and these play a very important part in my eyeshadow application. These would be my smudge brushes. So these help me apply color to my lower lash line. And, you know, I like to apply a sultry color underneath my lower lash line. As you can see, I don't always apply the same color to my lower lash line as I have done in my outer corner. I know that's kind of the rule, but I like to switch it up. Sometimes I don't always define my outer corner, so I just kind of do whatever. But I always apply something to my lower lash line. So there is this one. This is from Sonic. It's really tiny, very detailed. Doesn't have a name, of course, but yeah, Sonic. And yeah, great to add color to my lower lash line. It won't be a very blended color distribution, so sometimes I would go back in with a brush to blend out my lower lash line, but it's still great nonetheless. This one kind of does both things because it distributes color to my lower lash line, and it's fluffy enough where I could actually blend the color as well. And this is the 226 smudger brush from Zoeva, one of my favorites for sure. I love how like short it is, but it's still fluffy. Then I have this one here if I want something very precise. This is the Party Queen Flat Definer. Some people actually use this for their brows, but I wouldn't go that route. I don't want my brows to be too square, I guess. And then I have the 322 brow line from Zoeva, and it's a brow brush, but I actually like using this as a smudger brush much better. It's just the perfect like length, perfect height. It's angles, but it's not really a problem. So, and then this one is very similar to the Sunny one, but it's much fluffier. And this is the accent brush from Real Techniques. And again, great for just placing color onto my lower lash line. So I have these brushes here, and these are what I use for my setting powders. So after my foundation, I would set my face. So I have this from Kat Von D, and it's the Chain Light Face Brush, and it has two sides. It's two-handed. This side is just so perfect. It's tulip shaped, it's fluffy, it's not too big, so it can get pretty much anywhere I need to set. And then I have used this for contouring, I've used this for blush, so it's pretty universal. So I love this brush a lot. This one here is a smaller brush, so perfect for setting my under eyes after I conceal. And this is the Party Queen tapered highlighter brush, but I use it for setting powder, not highlight. And then I have the Sedona FP09, also great for setting powders. Again, just perfect size. And then I have these two here. These are also from Sephora. This is the Hakuho-do and Sephora Pro. So Hakuho-do collab with Sephora, and Hakuho-do makes really expensive brushes. So I was glad to get my hands on these for a reasonable price, and the bristles are just so amazing. They're like butter. They're so soft, and I just love the shape. Has like this slight angle to it. These were just cut so perfectly, and so they're just really great to really get your powder in there, blend it, but also packing it in. So it just kind of depends on what size I want to use that day, but I use them both for pretty much the same thing. I did bring my foundation brush to show you, but to be completely honest, I don't really use foundation brushes now that I am obsessed with beauty blenders just like everybody else. But my favorite type of foundation brushes are the flat top kabuki, I guess that's what they're called. But this is the Sedona FP07, a great foundation brush, but I don't use them all too much. So this one is also another flat top. It's dual-ended, so it also comes with this smaller, dense brush with an angle, and it's another Tarte 24C brush. It's great because, you know, I can do my foundation, and then I can also conceal with this brush, so I like it. I I just don't use it as much. This one is great for powder foundation. And it's an It Cosmetics brush, but it doesn't really have a name. But it's like a dual fiber, really fluffy brush. But it also has like the perfect density to it as well. I don't know, it's magic for powder foundation. And then I have this one from It Cosmetics, and it's the CC Angled Buffing Foundation Brush. Really great for both powder and liquid foundation. And I love how it's angled, and I love how it's really big, so it's one of my favorite foundation brushes. And then this one is a bit more domed. It's not really flat. It's the M33 Mineral Powder Brush from SHANY, but I don't really use this one all too often. Actually, I do like using this for primers, not necessarily foundations, but I have applied like my luminescent primers on my face with this, as well as like my bronzy primers with this. And then dual fiber brush, stippling brush. Hate it. I don't use it, but it's the 125 stippling Zeta brush. I don't really use it. I like it for ASMR. Stipple, 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 but that's about it. Okay, so really quickly before my battery dies, these are some of the blush brushes that I use. I have a lot, but my favorites are, this is the F19 Slanted Contour Brush. It has this really cute red tip to it, and it's angled and it's fluffy. As you can see, it's pretty wide and it's perfect for blush application. Then I have this one also angled and fluffy. That's just basically the kind of brushes I like for blush. But this is the Heavenly Luxe French Boutique Blush brush in number 4 from It Cosmetics. I love this handle here. It's clear. It looks so cool, and it just makes for very comfortable application. I have this one here from Eco Tools. It's a paddle brush, so it's kind of flat, as you can see, and it's like oval, and also really nice for blush application. I like paddle brushes, as you can see. This one's from Japonesque. This one's really cool. It's from BareMinerals, and it's the Soft Curve Face and Cheek, so it does have a curve to it, and this point here, and your cheek just fits right here on that curve, and it just places the color right where it needs to go. So I love that one. And if I just want a light application of blush, this is my go-to. It's the 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek, and it gives me a really nice diffused color to my cheeks. And I just have a couple other ones. I like these like smaller tulip brushes for my cheeks as well. This one is from Japonesque, which you can find at Ulta. And then this one's from Japonesque. And then these are some like dual fiber kind of paddle brushes that I love as well. This is the Real Techniques dual fiber face brush. And then we have the F10 Oval Liquid Foundation Brush. Also both great for blush application. So those are all of the brushes that I have to share with you. I guess I could share some honorable mentions. For instance, this brush here. This is like the toothbrush, hairbrush, sort of doodad. This one is from Pure Cosmetics, and it's really, really awesome for blending your foundation. I would say, besides Beauty Blender, this gives you a very flawless face, just like the Beauty Blender does. So this would be like my second favorite applicator tool for my face as far as foundation goes. And it's just so fast, so quick to use, and no streakiness whatsoever. Good application. I have a couple of interesting foundation brushes. Like this one is pretty interesting. It's in the shape of a heart. But I don't really use brushes like this all too often. But it's the It Cosmetics Live Beautifully brush. But the full name is Love is the Foundation brush. Got it. But yeah, it's in the shape of a heart. Love. Yeah. So there's that. And then this one is a pretty cool foundation brush. It's from Doll 10. And it has this on and off switch because it actually spins 360 degrees. I actually did a review on this brush on my beauty channel, but it's the Blend Smart brush from Doll 10, and there's different brushes that can attach to this, to the handle. So this is the foundation brush, and it's kind of like a stippling brush. Yeah. It's pretty cool. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the honorable mentions. I have a bunch of other brushes that I didn't talk about. I still have a bunch where my vanity is. So yeah, those are pretty much all of the brushes that I use on a daily basis. And I'm always alternating brushes because, like I said, it is never fun cleaning brushes. Yeah, and that's not a really good excuse to get 5 million brushes either.